Welcome back to Kaulignation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Dingernation, SVGNation, and all things NASCAR. I'm Sean. Thank you for joining us on this rainy Tuesday afternoon here from Canada. It's about time. We've needed rain desperately. Our multiple choice question for this video is, do you think SVG is starting to get better on the ovals the second and third time around? I think there's noticeable improvement. We're going to talk about later in this video why a certain tire compound is really benefiting SVG well. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we've been talking about this for a while. We've been on it on the normal YouTube channel. We've been talking about it on Patreon. Kaulig to Ram. Kaulig Racing to Ram / Dodge / Stellantis. How serious is it? Well, we've been following the story for 6 weeks. It was, I'd say, it briefly got to the front burner, and then it got pushed all the way to the back burner to, honestly, a point where we didn't think it was going to happen anymore. And then Chris Rice goes and blows the door off the hinges. And now, since that interview, all this other stuff has come out. We've talked to sources. Obviously, everybody else has talked to sources. Notable reporters and content creators alike have covered the story, like Brakehard, Eric Estep, Adam Stern, the guys over at DBC, Bob Pockrass, and others. And it all seems to point towards a likely deal between Kaulig Racing and Ram and Stellantis. Well, Daytona's this weekend. You'd think if you were really close to a deal, you'd want to get that done and unveil it at Daytona. No better place to do that. And you know what? It's only Tuesday at 2:23 p.m. as I sit here and record this. Plenty of time for that to still happen. But there's also a chance that they might want to wait till the playoffs start to do this. Look, as I've said, I've been a burned Kaulig fan for a while now. I can't tell you how many stories Ryan and I have covered where they're going to get this driver, they're going to get this sponsor, AJ's going to stay in Cup, and it gets all the way to the finish line and then doesn't happen. It's like at least you can count on two hands how many times that's happened in the last 3 years. So I'm a little skeptical on their ability to actually get this deal done. But that's just me. I hope it gets done for the benefit of the organization. It needs to get done. Unless you want that glass ceiling that you can never break through over your head, you're going to be number 5 at Chevrolet forever and maybe even get worse. I posted a blurb on X earlier where it's just like, if the deal with Ram and Stellantis falls apart, Kaulig needs to be pursuing every active option to switch manufacturers to Ford or Toyota. You cannot convince me that those two manufacturers, or even Honda, which we touched on not too long ago in the most recent Kaulignation and Trackhouse Nation podcast episode available on our Patreon, you need to be pursuing every option or else you're stuck. Let's take a listen to what Brakehard had to say as well as what Bob Pockrass had to say.
Dodge. I heard there. Did you hear anything about an announcement coming?
I mean, you hear things, and then they don't happen, and then you hear things. I mean, obviously, Kaulig has talked to them. They would probably buy some. Spire has a ton of trucks because they're not going to run as many next year. Plus, they have a whole fabrication business, so they've got plenty of trucks.
I don't think you'll see Chevy building Dodge.
Right, but you just need a nose and a tail, right? So you can buy something.
I don't think you'll see a Chevy building Dodge trucks. But yeah, somebody texted me yesterday. That announcement may come as soon as this week. I don't know if it's Kaulig or what, but
it'll make things interesting up on the RCR campus, right? If they have some Dodge trucks and some Chevy Xfinity cars. So, but we've seen strange bedfellows before.
Yeah.
Bumper clear today. Freddie Kraft talked about Kaulig and Ram, and then Bob Pockrass added in things to get interesting up on the RCR campus, and Freddie said there could be an announcement this week. There's been a lot of talk about this over the last month and a half.
Yep.
I know that I've been privy to some discussions about this. I would just say where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yep.
I don't know when an announcement could be coming. I have no idea.
Look, if you want the glass half full guy, that's Ryan. Unfortunately, I'm the pessimistic guy, and until there's a deal done, there's a big part of me that remains skeptical on it. I watched Brakehard stream last night on the closing laps. He definitely heavily hinted at it, but he also mentioned today on X that he's heard multiple different scenarios. So until there's something done, I'm just not assuming that it's going to happen, even with everything pointing in that direction. Now on to the SVG portion of the video. Look, one of the things we've been talking about greatly, and will continue to do so as the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs gear up here, which will begin next week, is that Shane Van Gisbergen does not have a road course to lean on in the round of 16. We thought he had far more bonus points than what he did. We talked about this on the Kaulig and Nation podcast, exclusively available over on Patreon, patreon.com/Kaulignation. That the cushion's just not there. It's 15 or 16 points, barring a win at Daytona, or some more stage points at Daytona, which I wouldn't rule out. 15 to 16 points is not a big cushion for one race, let alone 3 races. So that definitely had us a bit worried, because we were under the impression he was going in with like a 30-point cushion, twice the amount. But Austin Dillon winning, as we talked about in our last video, we think benefits SVG. But it's time to, there's some SVG haters out there that just don't want to see someone who's not from America do well. I'm not American. Ryan's American. I'm Canadian. So, I got no hat in the game, if you will. Jacques Villeneuve isn't running anymore, nor is Patrick Carpentier or Ron Fellows. But for me, I think there is tangible proof that SVG's been getting better at ovals. But I think more so, there is real proof that SVG has been not just doing better, thriving on NASCAR's new tire compound. Now, the information I want to highlight here is the tire combination that they've been using as of recent was first used at Martinsville last year, and then used at Bowman Gray, Martinsville again, and North Wilkesboro, followed by Richmond. Well, let's go over some of this, because Martinsville in the fall was SVG's best career oval finish of 12th. That was with Kaulig Racing. Let's be honest, though, that's a Trackhouse prepared car. Kaulig's name was just on it, and they were crewing it. Bowman Gray, he finished 9th. North Wilkesboro, he qualified first in the open race and led half the race. And Richmond this past weekend, he finished 14th. That's with the D5254 left side and the D5256 right side tire compound. And NASCAR is starting to use this at more of their tracks. They want more tire wear. I know there's going to be people thinking we're just lobbying for SVG to do better. If you watch that Richmond race and you take, favorites out of it, it was massively more entertaining than any Richmond race we've gotten in the last half a decade. And it's the direction that the sport needs to move. So don't be surprised if you start to see similar tire compounds used at different tracks. And right now, that plays greatly into SVG's hands. Once again, 12th at Martinsville in the fall, 9th at Bowman Gray, led half of the open race, and 14th at Richmond. That is valuable statistical information, where if it was just 1 or 2 times, I'd say maybe it's an anomaly. You're talking 4 of the 5 times. That's not an anomaly. He has absolutely figured something out on that tire compound, and that should excite SVG fans. That's going to do it for this video, though. Please like the video, comment, turn notifications to all, share the video around, whether you're a fan, an SVG fan, a NASCAR fan in general. Share it around. If you want bonus content, there are people right now, a handful of them, that are really enjoying the bonus content, the long-form content, including our podcast, that can be found at patreon.com/Kaulignation. The link is in the description below. Big shout out to our channel sponsors, Lynn over at SVGNation, Alex over at Dingernation, and thank you to all of our patrons, and we'll see each and every one of you in the next video.